Welcome to Better Life Academy. In this training, you'll learn how direct support professionals can recognize signs of emotional distress and respond in a calm, professional way that follows Better Life procedures. You are often the team member who notices small changes first because you're there during everyday routines, conversations, meals, and community activities. That makes your role important, not because you're expected to diagnose anything, but because your observations help the right support team members act early. In Better Life services, responding well starts with noticing what has changed, staying grounded in what you actually saw or heard, and sharing concerns through the right channels. Throughout this lesson, we'll stay focused on the DSP role within Better Life procedures. That means supporting the person, helping maintain safety, documenting objectively, and reporting concerns promptly. We'll also use a continuous scenario so you can see how gradual changes may show up over time and how a professional response can make a real difference. By the end of this training, you'll be able to recognize warning signs that may suggest someone is experiencing emotional distress. You'll also learn how to stay objective. That means noticing changes and recording facts without jumping to conclusions about what those changes mean. We'll cover how to respond professionally in the moment, including how to listen, what to say, and how to avoid reactions that can shut a person down. You'll see what good documentation looks like, especially when it comes to exact statements, observed behavior, timing, and context. We'll also review when and how to report concerns, including patterns that build over time and statements that need prompt attention. Most importantly, you'll understand your role on the support team. You are there to observe, support, communicate, and report. You are not expected to diagnose or provide counseling. Let's look at a scenario involving David. David is 36 years old and receives supported living services through Better Life. Staff know him as someone who usually enjoys familiar routines, talks easily with people he trusts, and takes part in regular daily activities. Nothing changes all at once. Instead, the situation develops gradually over several weeks, the way it often does in real life. At first, the changes may seem small. A shorter answer here: less interest in joining others there, maybe a routine that starts to slip. Any one of those moments on its own might not stand out very much. What matters is that staff begin to notice a pattern. As we move through David's story, pay attention to how the team responds to what they see and hear, and how each step fits the DSP role. The goal is not to label David's experience. The goal is to recognize concern early and make sure the right support process begins. Over the next few weeks, staff notice that David is spending more time alone in his room and less time joining shared routines. He turns down activities he usually enjoys, and conversations that once felt easy start becoming shorter and less engaged. This kind of withdrawal matters because it represents a change from David's usual pattern, not because one quiet day automatically signals a crisis. Staff also begin to notice changes around meals and rest. He may eat less than usual, skip parts of his routine, or seem more tired than normal. Sleep and appetite changes can have many causes. Your job is not to decide why they are happening. Your job is to notice that they are different. As the pattern continues, David's mood seems lower. He may appear more irritable one day and more flat or discouraged the next. Sometimes emotional distress shows up in the words a person uses. You might hear statements that sound hopeless, defeated, or disconnected from the future. You may also notice increased isolation, like avoiding people, staying apart for longer periods, or showing less interest in familiar contact. Another change that can stand out is when someone starts giving away valued belongings or acting as though those items no longer matter to them. None of these signs should be used to assume intent or make a diagnosis. They are signals to observe closely, document clearly, and share concerns through the proper process. What strengthens your response is the pattern over time. Small changes that continue, combine, or intensify are often what tell the team something needs attention. In David's case, staff are not reacting to one isolated moment. They are paying attention to a series of changes that are becoming more noticeable. This is a core professional skill for DSPs. Notice what is different, compare it to the person's usual baseline, and keep tracking what happens next. When you stay focused on observation instead of assumption, you give the support team more accurate information and the person a more respectful response. That respectful attention is often where early support begins. It starts with seeing the change, naming the facts, and not looking away from the pattern. When you notice concerning changes, your role begins with observation. Pay attention to what you see, what you hear, and how the person's current behavior compares with their usual baseline. Your role also includes listening. If the person shares something concerning, stay present and give them room to speak without rushing to fill the silence. Staying calm matters. Your tone, facial expression, and body language can help the person feel safer in a difficult moment. You are also responsible for helping maintain immediate safety. That may include staying nearby, reducing distractions, or seeking additional support right away if risk appears to be increasing. What your role does not include is diagnosing a mental health condition or trying to provide counseling. You do not need to explain away the behavior, solve the person's feelings, or decide on a clinical meaning. Your job is to respond professionally and involve the right people. That professional response includes reporting concerns according to Better Life procedures, especially when statements or patterns suggest the need for prompt follow-up. It also includes documentation. Good documentation creates a clear record of what was observed, what was said, when it happened, and what actions you took. Think of your role as part of a support chain. You notice, you listen, you support safety, you document, you report. Each part matters, and each part helps the team respond appropriately while keeping the person's dignity at the center. When you stay inside that role, you protect both the person receiving services and the quality of Better Life's response. Now the situation becomes more direct. During a conversation, David makes a concerning statement that tells staff this pattern needs immediate attention. One possible response is to brush it off and hope the moment passes. That may feel easier, but it leaves the concern unaddressed and misses an important warning sign. Another possible response is to challenge David, argue with what he said, or try to talk him out of how he feels in the moment. That approach can increase distress or shut down communication because the person may feel dismissed, corrected, or misunderstood. The most appropriate response is to stay calm, listen carefully, acknowledge the concern, and take the statement seriously. That does not mean overreacting. It means responding in a grounded way that supports the person and starts the right reporting process. A professional response might sound like this: "I'm glad you told me. I'm here with you, and I need to share this with the right team members so we can get support." That kind of response shows respect, keeps the communication open, and makes it clear that the concern will not be ignored. In David's situation, the best choice is the one that combines calm listening with prompt action. Professional communication starts with your tone. Speak calmly, keep your pace steady, and avoid sounding alarmed even when the situation feels serious. Your goal is to create enough calm for the person to keep talking, not to add pressure with your own reaction. Non-judgmental listening is another key skill. Let the person share without interrupting, correcting, or jumping ahead. Simple, open-ended questions can help. You might ask, what has been feeling hardest lately, or what is making today feel especially difficult? Questions like these invite the person to talk without putting words in their mouth or pushing them toward a specific answer. Just as important is what to avoid. Don't minimize the concern by saying everyone feels that way sometimes or that things will be fine. Avoid arguing with the person's feelings or trying to prove that their experience is wrong. Those responses can make the person feel alone, misunderstood, or less willing to speak honestly. Be honest about your responsibility to report concerns. You do not need to promise secrecy in order to be supportive. You can say that you care about what they're sharing, and because it's important, you need to involve the right team members. That honesty helps build trust because the person knows you are taking them seriously and responding responsibly. Reassurance also matters, but it should be realistic. Let the person know they are not alone and that support is available. You are not there to have the perfect words. You are there to be present, respectful, and clear about the next step. In moments like this, calm communication can protect dignity, preserve connection, and help the support team respond sooner. That is what professional support looks like. Listen carefully, speak thoughtfully, and keep the door open for help. Let's compare a weaker response with a better one. The weaker response minimizes the concern, changes the subject, or tries to end the conversation quickly. That kind of reaction may be intended to help, but it can leave the person feeling unheard and make staff miss important information. A better response starts by listening calmly and staying with the person instead of rushing past the moment. It acknowledges the concern with simple language that shows respect, like telling the person you're glad they shared it with you. It also avoids making promises you cannot keep. If the concern needs to be reported, say that honestly and calmly. The best response includes action. Listen, acknowledge, notify the appropriate personnel. That sequence supports the person in the moment and helps Better Life respond through the right channels. When you're unsure what to say, keep it simple. Calm presence and clear follow-through are stronger than trying to have a perfect script. In David's scenario, the better choice is a response that takes the concern seriously and moves it forward appropriately. That's the standard to aim for in every similar situation. It protects dignity, supports safety, and keeps the team informed. Documentation is one of the most important parts of your response because it creates a record the team can act on. Poor documentation tends to be vague, interpretive, or based on assumptions. It may say someone was depressed, attention-seeking, or acting strange without describing what actually happened. Objective documentation does the opposite. It focuses on observable behavior, exact statements, timing, context, and actions taken. For example, instead of writing that David seemed upset, you would describe what you observed. You might write that David remained in his room during the evening group activity, spoke in a quiet tone, and gave brief one-word answers when staff checked in. If he made a concerning statement, document the exact words as closely as possible rather than replacing them with your interpretation. Timing matters too. Include when the behavior occurred, how long it lasted if known, and whether similar concerns were observed earlier. Context also matters. Note what was happening around the event, such as whether this occurred during a meal, a community outing, or a private conversation at home. Then include what you did. Did you stay with David, notify a supervisor, follow emergency procedure, or contact another designated team member? This level of detail helps others understand the situation clearly without having to guess what took place. The rule to remember is simple. Document facts, not interpretations. When documentation stays objective, it supports continuity, protects accuracy, and helps Better Life respond appropriately. In David's case, clear documentation helps the team see that the concern is not based on one isolated impression. It is based on a growing pattern. That pattern becomes much easier to understand when each staff member records concrete observations in a consistent way. Good documentation does more than complete a task. It strengthens the quality of care. Once a concern is recognized, documented, or shared directly by the person, it needs to be reported through Better Life's established process. In many situations, that starts with notifying your supervisor as soon as possible. Depending on the time of day or the situation, reporting may also involve on-call management. Some concerns may also need to be shared with nursing or other designated team members based on the person's needs and Better Life procedure. The important point is not to hold the information on your own while you wait to see what happens next. Timely reporting matters when a concerning statement is made, and it also matters when a pattern of smaller warning signs is building over time. A single staff member may only see one piece of the picture. Reporting helps the team put those pieces together. That is especially important in a case like David's, where the concern becomes clearer as multiple observations begin to align. Good reporting is timely, accurate, and directed to the right people. It should reflect the facts you observed and the steps you already took, so the next person in the process can act without delay. If you are ever unsure who to contact in the moment, follow Better Life guidance for escalation and seek supervisory direction right away. What matters most is that the concern keeps moving to the people who can respond appropriately. Prompt reporting is not an extra step after the real work. It is part of the real work. Some situations require immediate emergency action. In those moments, the first priority is safety. Stay with the person when appropriate, reduce immediate risk when you can do so safely, and follow Better Life emergency procedures without delay. If the situation meets the threshold for emergency services, contact them right away according to procedure. At the same time, notify supervisory staff as quickly as possible so the emergency response is coordinated. This is not a wait-and-see situation. When immediate safety is in question, prompt action matters. Emergency procedures exist so staff do not have to guess their next step under pressure. Your role is to act within those procedures, communicate clearly, and make sure the concern reaches the right people fast. Even in urgent situations, objective documentation still matters once immediate safety needs are addressed. The sequence is simple. Safety first, emergency procedure second, notification and documentation as required. Knowing that sequence ahead of time helps you respond with more confidence when every minute counts. Professional calm in an emergency does not mean doing less. It means doing the right things quickly and clearly. Let's pull the key lessons together by looking back at David's scenario from start to finish. The first lesson is that warning signs often build gradually. David's situation did not begin with one dramatic event. Staff noticed withdrawal, lower engagement, changes in routine, mood shifts, and concerning language over time. The second lesson is to stay objective. DSPs noticed what changed without assuming a cause or assigning a label. That objectivity showed up in both observation and documentation. Facts came first. The third lesson is that a professional response combines calm listening with clear follow-through. When David shared something concerning, the best response was not to dismiss it or argue. The best response was to listen, acknowledge, and act. The fourth lesson is that good documentation captures exact statements, observed behavior, timing, context, and actions taken. The fifth lesson is that timely reporting helps the whole team respond. One observation may seem small. Several observations together can show a clear concern. The sixth lesson is that emergencies require immediate safety action and strict follow-through with Better Life procedures. Taken together, these lessons show what strong DSP practice looks like in real life. Notice the pattern. Support the person. Document the facts. Report the concern. That sequence is how small observations become meaningful action. And it is often how early support begins. When DSPs respond this way, they help create safer, more responsive support. That's the goal of this training, and it's the standard we're aiming to reinforce. Let's return to David and see what effective support looks like when staff respond early and work together. Because staff noticed the pattern, the concern did not remain hidden as an isolated impression. Because communication stayed calm and respectful, David had space to share what he was experiencing without feeling dismissed. Because documentation was clear, the team could see specific behaviors, statements, timing, and context rather than vague impressions. Because reporting happened promptly, the right people were able to step in and coordinate next steps. That is how professional support builds. One staff member notices, another connects the pattern, the team responds. In this scenario, David is connected with appropriate professional assistance through the proper Better Life process. The outcome matters, but so does the path that led there. Early recognition and follow-through made that support possible. This is why small observations should never be ignored when they begin to form a pattern. David's story shows that DSPs do not have to solve everything themselves to make a meaningful difference. As you close this training, keep the DSP role in mind. Observe carefully, listen calmly, document clearly, communicate promptly, report concerns through the right process. These actions help create safer support, stronger teamwork, and more timely care for the people Better Life serves. Thank you for the compassionate, person-centered work you do every day and for the care you bring to difficult moments. When you notice, respond, document, and report, you help make support safer and more effective. That professional follow-through can make a meaningful difference. And it starts with the everyday attention you bring to the people you support. Thank you for being part of Better Life's commitment to safe, respectful care. Your role matters, and your observations matter. That's how support begins.